Hello and welcome back to the X-Files Revisited. We are on to episode 14 of season 3, which is Grotesque. Brian, where does this one land in the X-Files legacy?
Well, for me personally, it's one that kind of like before we watched it again for this review, I'd have said it was probably somewhere around the middle mark. It's not a bad episode, it's not a great episode, but it's certainly one that you might put on when you're doing a run through. It's got a 7.6 out of 10 on IMDb, but to get a clearer picture of what that means, out of the 217 episodes...
Can I guess?
Go on. Yeah, go on. Guess.
Okay, I'm going to go for 84.
84.
Yeah.
84. Ooh, nowhere near. 149. 149. So this sits in the bottom third, certainly. It's very close to the bottom quarter, to be honest. So, yeah, with regards to X-Files fans, or certainly the ones that frequent IMDb, not the highest. It's not. It doesn't. Yeah, it's not in the top half anyway.
But 7.4 is still quite a high rating on 7.6 on IMDb. Is still quite high.
Well, yeah. I mean, like IMDb ratings are a bit funny, aren't they? Because films rarely get below a 6 on IMDb. So a 7.6 is kind of like 3-star rating, maybe something like that. So yeah. But,
okay, so let's jump straight into the episode then. So we open up with a university, and it's an art class, and we excuse the pun, we literally have somebody that's super sketchy.
Dear. Stop right there, no more. Okay, leave it at that one.
That's the only one. I mean, you can't top pure gold. But this guy's... but he's just really weird. He's intently focused on this guy. He's drawing this weird image that we don't see until the end. And when he's finished...
He looks like he's from an episode of the X-Files.
Yeah, he really does.
Basically, yeah.
Yeah. That kind of person that you kind of understand is going to have their own atmosphere that nobody's going to get drawn into. He's going to have a lot of space round about him. Everybody will just move away. He's the weird guy at the back of the class.
Not to sound crude, but the way that he's drawing is like it's kind of, I feel like it's as close as they can get to kind of showing that this guy might be masturbating in some way without actually going down that route.
It's obviously they've been there a while. They've had multiple lessons, I think, or multiple sessions with this model. And it pulls back to reveal this charcoal drawing. It looks as if it's been done in like 5 minutes. It's someone that's drank way too much coffee. Like, that's crap. It really is.
Crazy-eyed gargoyle. And
then when you go.
Yeah, so basically, this guy is waiting for this nude model after the whole painting session, and he just kills him in this alleyway, and then we kind of have a quick cut from there to the FBI raiding this dude's house, and arresting him, and as they arrest him, he bites one of the FBI agents. And we see that one of the FBI agents, the guy in charge, is none other than Kurtwood Smith,
Clarence
RoboCop fame
himself. I was like, it made me sit up and instantly pay attention because, well, it's a familiar face. You know, it's an actor you've seen many times before. I was interested in what he was going to bring to this episode, which I did like quite a bit. And then we get him looking around the apartment, which would give kind of John Doe from Seven a run for his money, and just happens to almost instantly stumble across the murder weapon.
big time. It just literally just opens the drawer, pulls. Oh, look, Stanley knife. There you go.
Yeah. It's kind of funny, but you know, it is what it is. And then we get the intro.
The setup. That's the setup.
Intro. Yes.
What are you thinking at this point?
Interesting, because I kind of thought it was going to be a hunt to catch this guy, but instantly we get the capture of him. The introducing of Kurtwood Smith is really great. I love the kind of set design that's here, although you don't get to see too much of it. You get an idea of utter chaos within the apartment, and I wasn't really too sure where the episode was going to go. I had a feeling it was going to be Monster of the Week, but it never really goes that way.
I do think X-Files does SWAT team or FBI busting into a place really well. They've kind of got it down to a fine art now, where they just have the roving camera with agents all going in and like.
Yeah, but the thing that happens as well is it's like they storm in, lots of them. They overtake the room. They kind of just throw this guy around the place, handcuff him, whip him out, and then instantly the room's devoid of everybody except from Kurtwood Smith. But no, I like it. It's a kind of chaotic and fun sequence. Yeah, it's good.
So we go from there, opening credits, and Mulder briefs Scully on this guy called Jonathan Mostow, not the director of U571 or Terminator Rise of the Machines, but a serial killer.
I could just imagine it. Get him, he ruined Terminator.
Yeah, that's how I was thinking that. But this predates Terminator 3, so there you go. Jonathan Mostow is the killer, and Mulder reveals that since he's been in custody, there has been another attack with the same MO, and Mostow is claiming that he was possessed.
Yes, and Skinner has requested that the two agents go on this mission. Now, the key thing from this sequence, which is a lot of information, and it's a lot of fun information, but one of the best directing choices I think I've seen is the moment where Scully's standing near a projector screen and Mulder puts on a gory image. Now, we can't see it. You can only see the kind of blood and what looks like skin, and it gives this idea of awfulness, of a horrible thing, but you don't get to see it, and it's just nicely done for TV. I just thought that was like a really interesting image. I love that.
Good way of showing it without showing it.
Yeah, it lets the mind do a lot of the work.
Yeah,
you know.
Okay. So Mulder and Scully visit Mostow, who swears blind he didn't kill the 7 men. Kurtwood Smith and the bitten man show up, asking them to step outside, and Smith is really antagonistic towards Mulder, believing his wacky theories might threaten to derail his case.
Yeah.
So a lot going on here.
The initial scene when they're talking to the guy, I think you get the short-handed typical Mulder and Scully. You get Mulder who's just like, oh, tell me more, yeah, oh, possession, yeah, and Scully's just standing back, just going like, nope. Who's your accomplice? Just the completely dismissive and the completely buying into what this guy's saying. It's just typical Mulder and Scully, really.
Absolutely. Yeah. I feel like this guy is overplayed just a bit too much with the whole craziness. It's just like, why can't these guys ever just be a little bit more chilled?
Subtle.
Yeah, just subtle. Don't hammer it on the head. But it's like, I feel like it's like Hannibal Lecter. You know, they go and see Hannibal Lecter in Silence of the Lambs, and the dude is just like still. He can be at the other end of the room, completely still, completely calm, and yet still be totally and utterly crazy. Whereas I feel like the instructions given to these actors that come in is like, go to 11, like just make it larger, go bigger, and it's just like no, dial it down. Just we know this dude's crazy. We know he's killed 7 men. that kind of tells us what we need to know about him. He doesn't have to be
Because
shaking and jittery and all over the place.
I'm pretty sure he's in a straitjacket as well, isn't
Yeah,
he?
yeah,
Is he?
yeah.
So it's like sit on the ground, contort your body, twitch a lot, and we'll cover you in sweat. You know, it's just like,
Yeah, it's too much. I feel I just like, and I feel like it's something X-Files is often guilty of.
yeah. So then we kind of jump onto the Bill Patterson character played by Kurtwood Smith, and we get the first interaction with him and Mulder, and I love this interaction because you've got a good actor who's obviously got a good standing in the FBI, and he seems to have a kind of antagonistic relationship with Mulder. And this kind of plays out throughout the episode. They feel as if they're kind of on level pegging of where their abilities are, but there's like one. You feel as if there should be a mentor relationship there as well, but it's not.
Well, it feels to me like it once was a mentor relationship, but because Mulder kind of went his own way and almost in a way became the mentor, that kind of rubbed the mentor up the wrong way. Like, there's a quote, I can't quite remember it, but it's all about how, the best thing as a mentor is to see your progeny, so to speak, your protege kind of surpass you.
Yeah.
Like if you're a true mentor, that's what you want. You don't want to hold them back. You don't want to always stay at the top and have them always looking at you. That's not the point of being a mentor or to disciple. It's so that they can go on and do greater things than even you have. And I feel like this guy kind of can't get with that program. Or at least that's the way it seems just from this scene anyway.
Yeah, it seems like a character that has a lot of respect. Patterson, like he has a great deal of respect within the FBI, but Mulder gives him almost none.
Yeah.
He's quite dismissive of him and puts him down with a really nice comment as well. And it just creates, within this short conversation, it creates a history between these two characters. Yeah. And I'm instantly like, wow, I hope this continues for a lot of episodes because I like these two characters.
I don't believe you thought that for a minute, to be honest.
I did.
Did you?
Yes.
Seriously? Oh, you sucker. How long we've been doing this now? You should know by now. You should know better. You should know better, sir.
I was like, this is a great relationship. This can really be like expanded and worked on. I was like, I can't wait.
It ain't happening. So we do get a bit of a conversation just after with Mulder and Scully, because Mulder and Scully go and check Mosto's apartment, and Mulder tells Scully why Patterson doesn't like him. And basically the reasoning is that Patterson is of the school where in order to hunt the darkness, you have to become the darkness. Yeah. And to become the darkness, you kind of almost have to stay there. Yeah. And Mulder is of a different mindset. He agrees you have to kind of get into the darkness to figure out where the darkness is coming from, but you don't stay there. You get the hell out of that afterwards, which obviously says a lot about Mulder as a character, where his head's at and whatnot. So, that's an interesting dynamic there, I think, to show between these two characters and with Mulder.
That line basically, it sets up the episode. You have to get into the mind of the killer, but it does it in a kind of twisting fashion because the whole episode leans towards Mulder going down that path.
Yeah. It is the theme of the episode. Like this conversation lays out exactly what it is this episode is dealing with, delving into, discussing. There's, again, that quote: "If you look into the abyss long enough, the abyss starts to look back," and that's kind of essentially what this episode is all about. It's just that Mulder has always pulled. He's peered over the abyss in order to get the job done. But he doesn't jump into the damn thing, which
Yeah.
is essentially what Patterson has done. So Mulder,
they're in the room, yeah, looking about, seeing if they can find any evidence. Yeah.
yeah. So a cat makes Scully jump. Feels like a bit of a horror cliche, but there is a purpose to it, which is that they follow it to a hole in the wall. It leads them to more bodies, and some glassmaker dude gets jumped by a shadow. That's the next scene. So so we go into this kind of secret compartment hidey hole in this place. I don't quite understand this apartment.
No.
Because when you go into the apartment, it looks like it's in an apartment building. It looks like it's part of an apartment block. But then they go through this snicket in the wall, which seems to take them into some abandoned warehouse. So does this dude live in an abandoned warehouse, or is his apartment block like onto the side of an abandoned warehouse and he's kind of dug a hole in there to get in?
I'm not entirely sure, because even the part when Mulder and Scully are walking towards the door, it doesn't look like a typical hallway towards like an apartment either. I think we just have to chalk this down to TV magic. You know?
Just the geography of it isn't.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense, and it's weird because it feels like a long narrow hallway turning into another one and then into a large room, and it doesn't really make much sense.
It feels like we've gone to multiple locations to film various parts of this building, and we've just not hidden that fact. They're not really tied. The living room and the bedroom and then the art room, they're not really tied together in any way that says
it feels
I
as if
could
they're
walk that.
Yeah, as if they're trying to like almost make this as if you're walking into the mind of a killer. You know, you're going into the hallway and the hanging gargoyles and the bodies and the narrow paths and the maze.
Like if you think about the Bates Motel in Psycho, like I could draw you a blueprint of that house just because of how we've gone in the movies. You know, if you look at the way they've walked through that house in those movies, I could literally draw you a blueprint of that house where everything is, and that's how that's just good use of setting up the location. Even though,
I'll tell you one movie that does it fantastically well is The Conjuring. There's a one shot where they move into the house and they go through every room and give you the in this one tracking shot, and it just lays out exactly where everything is.
I mean,
you don't get that here.
The thing is that's fine if you have a complete location, which is like, you know, where you can walk through it. Boom, that's great. But in most films, the bedroom is a completely different set, and it's you know, and the living room might be across the block in a different part of the studio, so you can't actually do that. So when this
doesn't feel like the one building at all.
No. So, but there you go.
Episode ruined. Yep.
Episode ruined. But that's it. It's all gone downhill from there. So we find the bodies. What do you think about these bodies in the?
Great. Yeah, I thought it was great. Yeah, I really liked it. I thought it was a wonderful idea. I didn't expect there to be bodies in there. I don't remember this episode at all if I had seen it, but I liked the idea of the clay encompassing the sort of dismembered bodies.
Yeah, it's pretty grim. Yeah. Okay, so some glassmaker dude gets jumped by a shadow. I can't quite remember how this. It's just another murder, isn't it?
Yeah, just a murder.
It's some random dude. Like the fact that he makes
just
glass
a random
objects,
glass blow.
It's just we need a random victim. What can he be doing? Let's just have him making something out of glass, and then he gets jumped, and it's like, all right, and then that's it. We never really see him again. Like, we don't hear about like his backstory or anything like that. There's no importance to him other than the fact that he's a victim. So, okay. Scully turns up at the hospital where Patterson's partner reveals that it might have actually been Patterson who requested Mulder be on the case.
Yes. Now, I like this because I know this is going to be almost dismissive of where they stand, but it feels as if it's like the number twos. You know, Scully and Patterson's number two.
Scully's nobody's number two, biatch.
Yes, exactly. But it feels as if it's like the two.
Well, it's the two partners, isn't it?
Yeah, it's the two smarter partners. You know, being pragmatic and just sharing information and talking things out rather than subtext and like try to get one-upmanship. But these two people are just sharing information, and it works really well until Patterson turns up. But I like this relationship a lot. And then you get the whole hand bitten thing.
Yeah. So can I just ask? Because obviously I've seen this many times. I can't remember what my first reaction to this episode was. But when you were watching this one, did you think at any point... Because I think there's two schools that you're going to go down. You're going to think, oh, it's him, definitely him, signposting. Or you're going to think, red herring, that's BS, that's definitely not him. He's definitely not the one who did it. They're just trying to distract us. Which line, or did you not even think about it?
Nah, I thought it was him.
You thought it was him?
Yeah.
All right.
Even when he's standing there at one point for no reason going...
It just felt like, I mean, obviously I can't remember when I first watched this. So I watch it now and I just think, oh, that's such a bad red herring. It's just like...
It really is.
But then I don't know if it is, because it could just be that, like, maybe when I first watched it, I did think, it's got to be him. He's been bitten on it. It's like a virus. Boom. But like, if you take him out of the equation, it really does only leave one other suspect. Because we know for a fact it ain't Mulder. There's no way in hell it's Mulder.
At no point throughout this entire episode did I even consider that it could have been Patterson.
Seriously? Well, there you go. That's how. Because you're not an unintelligent person, so you know it's funny how things grab you. If you just throw even the crappiest red herring in there, it can distract people enough to not consider the obvious option. Because like I say, if it's not Patterson's partner, and we know it certainly ain't Mulder, they don't introduce anyone else in this episode who could be a potential suspect. So it leaves only Patterson. And failing that, an actual gargoyle monster that we see. But we don't get to see one, so that
was the thing. Like I never considered a gargoyle monster, and I never considered Patterson. I just kind of locked on to the partner and thought it must be him. And I'm thinking I can't wait to see more episodes with Kurtwood Smith.
Yeah. Okay. So, and here we go. So this is the real dead giveaway. Like, this is so obvious. Patterson comes into the room to ask where Mulder is, and then the victim wakes up and proper freaks out.
Yeah.
So right there, he hears Patterson's voice and then freaks the heck out. So the episode is telling us right there, Patterson's your man.
Yeah. Yep. No, not for me.
And nothing. There you go. Amazing what a simple red herring will do. Okay. So Mulder pores over library books while inner monologuing about gargoyles.
Fantastic. Fantastically pointless.
But yes, fantastically pointless. That's exact. Right. So now this is the tipping point. I've got to say, the episode up to this point has been pretty good, pretty intriguing. There's a tipping point, and I think this is it. But anyway, so Patterson, Mulder's poring over books, monologuing about gargoyles. Do they really exist and drive men to do evil, or are they just an artist's interpretation of the evil that men do? And then Patterson shows up, and they talk theories. Mulder believes Mostow may have been possessed. Patterson thinks Mulder is a disappointment.
Yeah, it's first of all, this library looks abandoned because there's nobody else there, and for some reason, and this was something I couldn't get over. The tables behind Mulder are filled with books. They're just abandoned. They're just lying out there.
Is that not Mulder though?
No, because he's
not
in
just like,
unless he's jumping to like 3 different tables.
I just feel like he's been getting loads of books, and he's like, boom, when he's done with one, boom. So
the most annoying library patron ever, just like
big time, yeah. And is this not like an FBI kind of library?
I had no idea.
Because I'm assuming he's up till like dawn's crack.
Although I would be surprised if an FBI library had a load of mythology and gargoyles.
Well, J. Edgar Hoover did open the first X-Files case, which was about werewolves, remember? So,
yeah.
I'm sure there's a J. Edgar Hoover section there that's all, Mulder's books.
I was wondering a little bit about Patterson, because when he comes in here, he's obviously like, it's become apparent that he's brought Mulder into the case. He's needing a little bit of help, or he wants him for some reason or another. But he seems to be quite dismissive of him. But when, in hindsight, you're looking at him, he's saying he's disappointed because he's not putting 2 and 2 together and getting the obvious answer. I think.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't really look at it that way, to be honest. But
why would you bring in, if somebody's a disappointment, would you bring them into a case to help you get it solved?
But it's like, I mean, we get a conversation later, don't we? From I think it's the conversation we just had with Scully, where he says that if you get a few drinks down Patterson, then he opens up and praises Mulder like it was the best thing ever. And it's just like, I think it's stubbornness, isn't it? Really, it's like he can't show the guy that he respects most how much he respects him, so he covers it up and hides it through doing the opposite, calling him a disappointment. And I hadn't really ever had the take that you just had, though, which is that actually deep down Patterson wants to be found. Well, that's why he's disappointed.
Yeah, just thinking about it, because he's an FBI profiler. He's got half his mind in that world. He's got half his mind in the killer's mind. Yeah. And I don't think the two are really connected, because I don't think he really realizes what he's doing. And I think he wants Mulder to stop him because he has that respect for him. Yeah. And I just felt that's, like, on hindsight, looking back at that scene, that he was disappointed that Mulder was looking at the more fantastical rather than the information that was ahead of him.
Yeah. So it's a nice theory. It's a nice catch. But if it is that, I feel like, I don't know what more they could have done really to make that a bit more obvious. Maybe the fact that it is subtle is better. I don't know, but I certainly didn't pick up on it. But so we get this weird little moment where Scully just lets herself into Mulder's apartment.
Yep.
And finds pictures. Now, we're not, at this point, we're not given any indication as to the passage of time, because we go straight from the scene that we've just had with Patterson and Mulder to suddenly Scully being all worried about where's Mulder, where is he? And, she knocks on his door and he doesn't answer, so she lets herself in. So at this point, when it happens, I'm just like, it's a bit forward, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, I know he's giving you a key and stuff, but I thought that was for emergencies. You don't just let yourself into his apartment. And I just feel like they just do it for the sake of letting her see all these gargoyle pictures that Mulder's brought back.
Pretty much.
Now, which they do. That is why they do it. But I just feel like there should have been at least a scene where, Scully is driving and she's trying to phone Mulder and leaves a message. Says, Mulder,
where are you, Mulder?
I've not seen you a bit. I've been, or even when she like when she goes into the apartment, she lets herself into the apartment, checks his messages, because we've seen her do that before. We saw her do that in Little Green Men. You know, Mulder's gone walkabout. She goes into his apartment, checks his messages, and we hear a message from her saying, "Mulder, where are you? It's been days, and I've seen that, hide a hair of you." So there, it connects the dots that yes, this is why she's in the apartment. She's worried about where he is because it's now been days since we last saw him. But to us, it doesn't feel like that at all because we've literally just seen Mulder talking to Patterson. So, yeah. So the whole scene just feels off to me because of that.
Yeah, it does. And there's a moment later on where Scully's almost chastising Mulder, going, I've not spoken to you for days. And like you said, you have no idea of that going on. You just don't feel it at all. There's no passage of time.
Yeah, it's almost like the location stuff, the bad handling of location stuff. They've also got real bad handling of time geography. Like I don't know. Maybe they just had so much to cram into this episode that it's ended up a bit haphazard. But I do feel like, I mean, that's an easy fix, the answering machine one, because she can still be looking around at the gargoyle pictures while that's playing in the background. So you're not adding any time to your running time there by doing that, but you are helping the audience with the passage of time details. So yeah. So Mulder is at excuse me. Mulder is at Mostow's place sculpting.
Yeah.
just and see, this is the other thing with the passage of time as well. I feel like we get to super dark kind of gone into the abyss Mulder like that. It's just like, dude, we literally just saw you reading books, talking to Patterson.
Yeah.
After being told not to go into the darkness for too long, or not to become the darkness. And then he's here sweating and sculpting and just brooding, looking like Batman on his worst day. Sat in the Batcave.
So
it's just
quick. Like he goes into he looks at a picture, he rubs the eyes, and next minute he's sculpting.
Yeah, it's really heavy-handed. It's just like I get what they're trying to do. They want they want us to see that Mulder is getting into the head of Jonathan Mostow, that he's going down the same route that Mostow went because he's profiling. That's what Mulder does. He's a profiler. And I do like that the episode makes an attempt to show some of that because we don't really get that as much as I feel we should with Mulder, given that when the series first started, we were told that that's what he was, a profiler, where his strength lies. So I do like that they're trying to show that here, but it's so heavy-handed. Like within 3 scenes, we've gone from Scully freaking out that she's not seen him for days, and then he's just like, just in darkness, like just
troubled
body,
teenager.
soul,
Leave me alone.
and mind.
I just want to do my clay art. Leave me alone.
Yeah, I feel like it's just too much in such a short space of time. Yeah. So he falls asleep and then he wakes up to a disfigured-looking man standing over him. He chases the guy, but he gets knocked out, as per Mulder, basically.
He gets slapped. He gets slapped again.
If you think about the episode in This Eye, which we just recently reviewed, in which he drops that line about, I get tired of losing my gun. It's because you're always getting knocked on your ass, Mulder, basically. Yeah. Scully has much better kind of track record when it comes to fights than you do.
Definitely.
So, yes, he chases the guy, gets knocked out, all to some annoying score. I had to make a note of that because...
Is it the piano, like the crazy piano?
Yes. See, so you noticed it. I just wanted to make sure that wasn't just me. I like Mark Snow. I think he does an excellent job on the X-Files most of the time. He also did an excellent job on Smallville. Really great composer. When you've got to put out essentially a full album's worth of music for an episode each week on television, that's some going. there are going to be times when you're not having your best day, and I feel like this scene is that moment.
Do you know what it is? It's like somebody that's never played a piano. It's Bill Murray in Ghostbusters. They hate this.
Yeah,
it's
too jingly,
chaotic.
jangly, twinkly, twangly.
Yeah.
It's like, just stop. Stop.
I can play the piano.
Yeah. It just doesn't work with this foot chase that's going on. It's so bizarre. And it's like, this is the point in the episode where I'm kind of feeling like, all right, this is either a saggy midpoint that's going to just pick itself back up in a bit, or this episode is going to go the way of Dodd Calm, where you had an awesome, like, really atmospheric opening 20 minutes, and then it kind of disappeared down the toilet. But yeah, it's so Mulder gets knocked out again, which is that annoying music. Scully, basically, he wakes up. Why, he's been knocked out. So why this killer guy who was after him, who was leering over him, by all intents and purposes was going to kill him, has just knocked him out, and yet leaves him to wake up. So yeah, Mulder wakes up to.
I will say something on hindsight. It does seem that although Kurtwood Smith looks like an older gentleman, he seems to be extremely agile. Because there's this point here where he runs away, and then there's a point later on where he just legs it.
Yeah, but there is the supernatural element there, though, isn't there? Because when Mulder wakes up, this guy does look like a gargoyle. So there is that thing that has this guy gone so far into the darkness that he's become a literal embodiment of the darkness, or is it literally a gargoyle that has taken over him?
See, I literally thought it was a mask, but we don't see a mask at any point, do we?
No.
See, I just assumed it was a mask.
All right. See, now I took it more to be a bit like the whole Donny Faster thing, where he, when he shape shifts and he changes into that like demonic looking thing. I kind of see it more as like that kind of thing.
I just figured it was like a clay mask of gargoyle.
Right. No. Okay. Well, so basically, he's awake. The paramedics are there. Scully's got there, and she railroads him for going dark. Wonders what he was doing. Tells him Patterson put him on the case and is testing him. He drives off. And Scully tries to get an answer out of Patterson, who says he just wants to close the book on the case. Tells her to let Mulder do what he does and stay out of his way. Out of Mulder's way, that is.
Yeah, so, which kind of leads me to the thought like he wants Mulder to stop him.
Yeah.
To take over the mantle of the superior profiler. Like he said, he was the star pupil. The only one that's fit enough to stop him from doing what he's doing.
It just feels like Patterson isn't aware, though.
Yes, that's what I think. I think that his mind's in two places. It's the profiler and the killer, and I don't think, because you get that revelation later on when he's like, look at your hands, and he almost can't believe that they're covered in clay. It's as if he doesn't know what's going on. Yeah.
So. Okay, but I do like Badass Scully as well.
Oh,
there's that moment when Mulder drives off, and then Scully turns and she looks and she sees Patterson, and then she has that Scully look, and it's that kind of Scully look that makes you go, "Oh, come on, Scully!
You're in trouble."
Yeah, you're in trouble now. So it's so many times where she just. It's like a switch flips, and it's like she's going to go. She's going to.
You see her stomping over there, and then just going like that. she's so small. She's pointing up to the people.
Yeah. Although she still has far more menace than Mulder ever could.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Okay, so as Scully is about to drive off, she spots some Stanley blades and a knife under a squad car. So. There you go. Bit random. What's that doing there? Oh. Yeah. So Mulder visits Mosto and beats him to tell him how to find it. Mosto says it will find him and maybe already has. I don't like this scene.
No.
I don't like it at all. It's just, I know Mulder's going to dark places. I know he's trying to get into the head of the killer and all that. But my Mulder doesn't punch or beat suspects unless he's been dosed with LSD.
Or even attackers.
Yeah, or even attackers. Yeah. Especially ones that are in straitjackets. You got this guy who's in a straitjacket, can't defend himself. It's just not Mulder to me. And I know, like, you know, people in the comments now, they'll be like, yes, I know, but Mulder wasn't himself. He was, you know, he was going, he's in that dark place, isn't he? That's the whole point of the episode. But it's like, we've already been told by Mulder that the reason that him and Patterson never got on is because Mulder said you can look into the darkness without becoming the darkness, whereas Patterson was of the school that no, you must become the darkness, otherwise you won't find the killer. And Mulder didn't agree with that. So it doesn't work for me. It goes against who Mulder is for me.
I couldn't quite put my finger on this scene, but there was something about the way that Mulder's acting. It's almost as if he's trying to put himself in the mindset of the person he's talking to, share that conviction to see if he's going to spill any details about a co-conspirator. It's as if he's trying to play a part. I never took it as him lost in the darkness. I took it as him almost trying a different tact with this person to see if he's going to get any information.
It's just, if that's the case, though, then that makes it even worse. Because that means Mulder is in his right mind. And it means that he's literally choosing to beat this guy. And that's just... I don't know. Is that Mulder to you? Does that...
No, not particularly. But I never took it as Mulder being out of his mind at any point. I took him just as almost like a meditative thinking state, pretty much most of the movie, trying to piece the pieces together that he doesn't want to put together. You know, I think that's the thing. Like, I think he knows early on where this is headed, and I don't think he wants that to be the case.
I feel in some way the fact that we're having this discussion means that it just isn't. It's not fleshed out enough. It's not clear as to just what is going on with Mulder. Because, like,
it's not open for interpretation by design.
No. It feels like it's red herring territory. You know, Mulder in this episode is one big red herring, but it's a red herring that doesn't work because we know Mulder isn't the killer.
Yeah.
You know, we know he's not going to go to that place. If you're getting rid of the character of Mulder, it ain't going to be in an episode like this. But it's just like, I feel like all the stuff with Mulder being, in the darkness, and like it's all there to make you think, oh, has he gone so far off the edge that we're never thinking that at any moment.
No.
So the fact that we know it's somebody else means that Mulder's behaviour makes even less sense. Because he's not gone to the darkness. Patterson has.
Mm-hmm.
So what the hell's Mulder doing? Slapping this guy around? It's just, it doesn't work for me. Everything's falling apart as far as this episode goes for me right now. Mm-hmm. Got to that point where it was a tipping point, and it's not working.
It could be a small breaking point in the form of denial and desperation. Lashing out because he doesn't want to admit what he knows is really happening. But again, it's subjective, really reaching. There's nothing
grasping at straws. Yeah, grasping at straws. So we get fingerprints on the Stanley blade, and they turn out to be Mulder's. Again, it's ooh.
Yeah.
It's like, so Scully checks the evidence box, and the knife that had been taken in as evidence is now missing. So that means, or does that mean that the knife that Scully found and the blades that Scully found are the ones that are now missing from the evidence box? In which case, why is Mulder's prints on it? In which case, he's the murderer. No, he's not. We know he's not. It's just like labouring this point, labouring it so hard. It's just, you can't set up the prospect of a result that we know is never going to come.
Never.
So
it's never coming. Yeah. At no point did I ever think that Mulder was the killer.
Yeah.
It's just
the thing is, it's like, and this really is a subjective thing, and I don't wish to offend any of our viewers or any of our listeners, but it's just like me and. So we had a comment recently on one of our videos, one of our podcasts, that essentially said we were being overly analytical. That we were making so many notes on these episodes when we come to review them is making us overly critical, and that we just. But I'm sorry, it's just, one, that's the fun of doing a podcast like this. We're not trying to offend anyone. I still love this show. It's still one of my all-time favourite shows ever, and will be for multiple reasons. But just because something is my favourite show of all time doesn't mean I can't acknowledge its flaws. I'm not gonna walk around with blinkers on just because I'm a fan and say no, I refuse to look at the flaws. Yeah. It's just, the flaws are there. Just accept them and move on. It's I still love the show. But as we're discussing it, that's what this podcast is for, is to discuss it. Let's discuss it. And it's just, I feel like we're going to get some comments on this one just about how, again, we're being overly analytical, that, we're not being fair to certain aspects of it, and that actually they did feel the tension of Mulder possibly being the killer. I'm not telling you you're wrong. I'm not saying it's wrong to think that way. I'm just saying that from my perspective and Graham's perspective, clearly, it just doesn't work for us, because Mulder is the main character along with Scully. We know he's going to be back in the next episodes. So again, they're setting up the prospect of something that clearly could never happen.
Yeah. So it's like take a horror movie, take Scream. Scream starring Neve Campbell. At any point do you think Neve Campbell's going to die in that movie? Like, no, it's just, you watch any other horror movie, whatever the lead actress is, do you think she's going to die? They're always put in peril, but at no point do you go, well, they're not going to get out of it. They're going to get away.
No. It's just yeah. It doesn't build tension to me. And again, if it did for you, then fine. Comment down below and let us know about it. Or just drop us a comment and tell us why. Again, not saying you're wrong. It's all subjective, but that's my reasons for why this particular element of this episode just doesn't work for me.
It's an outside element as well, because like at no point do you think, well, this show is extremely popular at this point. Where in episode 14 of season 3, I think they're really going to kill off the main character? No.
Or have him become a killer, to which there's no going back from. So, okay.
So we get the scene in Skinner's office, which really irks me.
So Scully gets called to Skinner's office. He seems to know everything already, and asks if she's worried. And then she kind of doesn't answer, but it's obvious she is. And then he says, yeah, me too. Go on, Graham. Tell me why this scene irks you.
Because she's literally just discovered the knife's gone when she gets a phone call. He knows the information. Like she all she does is nod.
Yeah.
Affirmations. So, and it's exposition for the sake of exposition.
Yeah. And why? How does Skinner know all this stuff?
Yeah. And why has he not done anything about it?
Yeah. It's almost like Skinner has got nothing else on his plate. He's got nothing else on his plate, and all he's doing while sat in his office is keeping tabs on everything that Mulder and Scully are doing. He doesn't have 1,000 other jobs to do. He's not an assistant director. He's literally checking in every 5 minutes. He's got somebody telling him Scully's just gone to the evidence room. Why? What's she looking for? Check the box. Check the box. Tell me what she was looking at. Because that's the only way he would be able to. No, because she gets the call.
Well, she's there
while she's in the evidence room, checking on the knife that he knows is missing.
How does he know she's there?
Yeah. How do I understand? It makes no sense. Like he has to have known that evidence was missing before she did, in order to question her in the way that he does.
But more than that, the scene offers nothing that we don't already know.
No,
it doesn't tell us
all it
anything.
does is it gives us a little character insight into Skinner.
Yes,
tells us that Skinner has some kind of feeling towards Mulder, but it's like you say, it's done in the most expository way that doesn't really relate organically to anything. Like Skinner didn't need to be in this episode, really, just didn't.
No.
We know Scully is worried. You know, when you go to an evidence box to search for the evidence you've just found that's got your partner's fingerprints on it, and you find that evidence isn't in the evidence box, so the one that you're now holding that you found is very likely that one that was in the evidence box.
Yeah.
Then the look on your face tells us everything we need to know, which this scene is now telling us. So yeah, pointless.
I mean, she
Absolutely
could even
pointless.
say, like, can I see the logs for who's looked at this? And then, there's Mulder's name. Like, that's the quickest way to just do it if you really have to. But, anywho.
Yeah. So, Mulder dreams of chasing Gargoyle Man. He sees Patterson and his partner, Patterson's partner. He slashes out at one of them, but they turn into him, and so he ends up cutting his own face, and then he wakes up. It's a nice dream, kind of. I like the gore kind of stuff in it when it cuts his face, and it's like, oh! so it's some pretty nice work there on the effects and stuff. And you've got our only two possible suspects in the dream. So, you know, Mulder has this dream. It's just totally gone over your head. You're still there thinking, oh, see, it's the partner guy that Mulder's dreaming about. It has to be the partner. Again, I can't insult you on that because I was probably thinking the same thing when I first saw it way back when. But yeah, you've literally got the only two suspects it could possibly be in this episode because we've had no other characters at all that could be red herrings. So it's either
glassblower guy. It could be the glassblower.
Well, he was dead, weren't he? Because that's no, he was in the hospital, I should say. Oh yeah,
he's
he was the one. Yeah,
survived. The only survivor.
He was the one who freaked out when Patterson came in. Yeah. But him. But if it had been him, that wouldn't make any sense at all because then who was the guy who attacked him? So it's just So you've got the only two possible suspects in this dream. So at this point, you've got everything thinking, oh, who is it? Could it be Patterson or Patterson's partner? But it's a nice freaky dream in which, it kind of says that Mulder is looking at suspects, but is it really him? Because he slashes himself with the knife. It's like, whatever. So he wakes up and then he heads back to Mosto's.
Yes.
Finds a severed arm. And
as you do.
Yeah. As he finds a severed arm, Scully gets a message from Nemhauser, who is the partner, and calls him. Mm-hmm. And then where Mulder is, where he's kind of found the arm, he hears a phone ringing. Whose could the severed arm be? So he finds a jacket, gets the phone out that is ringing, and surprises Scully when he answers. She asks him about the knife, and he says he checked it out to see what it felt like in his hand, as every, profiler would, because, he's never held a Stanley knife before, and every Stanley knife feels unique to hold. And you have to go to the actual one that got used.
Oh, yeah.
In order to feel
you
the
need
weight.
to physically handle evidence that's important for cases, in court cases and things, yeah.
Uh-huh. Yeah, I don't even wear gloves or anything.
Nah.
So Scully says she'll be there in a few minutes.
Literally
a few minutes. Now, we do not break away from this scene, guys. So, if you're listening, if you're watching, we don't break away from this scene now, okay? What we get is we get Patterson showing up, having a little chat with Mulder that goes a bit haywire, and then boom, Scully's there. So not only has she got out of her apartment, or wherever the hell it is she is, got into her car, driven to that warehouse, got out of the car and climbed into the building and got to the apartment. In that time, are you kidding me?
And has just enough time left to completely misconstrue the situation and let the bad guy get away.
Yeah.
Awesome. It's not the Scully I know, the Scully that gets herself in danger and she's like, what you doing with that gun, Mulder? Why are you pointing it towards that person?
Again, the use of geography and time in this episode would make Christopher Nolan turn in his grave.
Yeah,
seriously.
I've still no idea how they end up on the roof, but they do from here. And the roof seems to be like double tiered as well. They go up levels in the roof and things.
It takes them longer to get to the roof than it takes Scully to get from wherever the heck she was to the building.
Yeah.
Think about that for a moment. Yeah, like at that point when she shows up, I'm out. I'm done. Because I'm like, no.
So we basically get the wrap up on the rooftop where Patterson jumps out. They struggle.
Well, first we did have that scene with Mulder and Patterson, which is basically the reveal scene, which is like you said before. Mulder spots the clay on Patterson's hands, and this is
Tell you what, as well as being secretly super agile in that guy is pretty awesome at some clay art as well, because that gargoyle looks amazing.
Yeah, he's quite skilled in the art
definitely.
of clay making. But again, it is that thing where is it just that men are evil and they do evil things because they're around evil for too long? Or is there some supernatural element to this in which some kind of gargoyle spirit demon thing is taking over these men, and that's why they're all able to sculpt this thing? But by this point it's a question that I don't really care to answer because I've just it's lost me. So Scully shows up ridiculously fast. Patterson runs. They chase him to the roof where Mulder shoots him after a struggle. And then 2 weeks later, Patterson is screaming. He's in a cell and he's screaming that he didn't do it. While Mulder voiceovers some nonsense about staring into the abyss too long.
The most pointless epilogue ever.
Yeah. Because it's spoken for itself. We've already had the themes set up earlier on with regards to how Mulder doesn't think you should become the darkness. Patterson thinks you should, and then we end with Patterson having become the darkness, saying all it needs to say. We don't need Mulder's voiceover. It labours the point. It hammers it on the head. Wrap up thoughts and score. Go.
I like it's a fine episode. It's fine for me. It's one of the sort of typical ones. It's got some interesting ideas. I do like the fact that we get a kind of antagonistic relationship with a mentor between Mulder and Patterson that I honestly would have loved to have seen explored in later episodes. I feel Scully's really sidelined here to almost reactions and just to react to certain scenes. The whole Mulder into darkness didn't buy at all. It just didn't strike me.
No.
All in, I'd probably say 3 out of 5 for this one.
Okay, I'm gonna go with a 2.5 out of 5. I remembered this episode being a lot better than, like, if you'd have asked me before watching it for this, I'd have probably said I reckon it's gonna be a 3.5 out of 5. But I just it's just before the midway point. It just does too many ridiculous things. It asks us to buy into too many ridiculous ideas. Mulder going dark, just nonsense. Yeah. The geography, the timing of things, just like pointless scenes that we don't need, that are just there for exposition of things that we've already been told or shown. You know, the way you should do rather than telling. It's just. Yeah, the red herrings don't work for me. Certainly not on these viewings. There's some nice themes that are set up. I like the idea of the story. Not very well executed for me personally. It's a bit of a waste of Kurtwood Smith, who is a fine actor and does actually give a pretty decent performance here, based on what he's given. But it's just for an actor of his caliber, you know, when you go to TV, particularly in the 90s TV, to get someone like Kurtwood Smith, I think would have been quite a thing, you know.
Quite a coup.
And quite a coup. Yeah. And I feel it's wasted. I feel like they don't give him a, like, you know, if you look at like Brad Dourif in Beyond the Sea. Yeah. That's like, boom, you've got a bigger name actor, a more kind of A-list actor, and oh boy, did you use them well. Whereas here, it's just like, I feel like anybody could have played this role, really. Any kind of Vancouver actor from the school of Vancouver actors they always use. 2.5 out of 5 from me.
Now, next up, episode 15 is Piper Maru. Now, this... even just the title rings a bell. Now, you can tell me if I'm completely off base or not, but I seem to think Krychek, Black Ooze, submarine, or a boat underwater or something.
Yes.
Yeah? Is this a two-parter?
Yes. Yeah, this is actually... Now... I don't know what you're going to think about it. And I don't
this
know
one
what
sticks in my head, Brian. So
right.
Because I've not read the synopsis of that. I just went from the title.
Okay, all right. Well, I can tell you this has always been my favourite two-parter from the entire show.
Right.
So I'm hoping it's going to remain that way. I'm hoping we're not going to come back next week and you're just going to demolish it for me. And I'm hoping I'm not going to be overly critical when I go and make my notes for it and destroy it for myself. Because, as I say, for me, it's always been my favourite mythology two-parter. And I'm really looking forward to getting into this one with you, because I think it's a cracker.
Yeah, I'm quite interested because, to be honest, I don't think I've really recalled too much from season 3 at all. But man, that just even seeing the name Piper Maru, that rang bells for me. So and. I'm hoping it's going to live up to it as well, so it should be good. So we'll make sure.
Piper Maru, also the name of Gillian Anderson's child. That's where they got the name of it from. So.
Oh, there you go. So join us next week. We'll be talking about this episode. Hopefully, it'll be a winner. Find out our thoughts then. Thanks for listening. We'll see you next week in the X-Files Revisited.